No one ever sat in seat 47. The reason was not written anywhere. There was no sign, no warning light, no official restriction in the passenger manifest of the interstellar liner Celestial Drift. Yet every traveler boarding the ship instinctively avoided it, their movements subtly adjusting as if guided by an invisible current. Seat 47 lay near the middle of the observation deck, a prime location with a wide viewport overlooking the stars. It should have been coveted. Instead it remained empty. Everyone knew why. She occupied it. The woman, if she could be called that, arrived early and always alone. Her form was tall and slender, wrapped in layered dark fabric that shimmered faintly with internal light. Her skin bore a soft iridescence, shifting with emotion, and her eyes were too deep, too still. Not predatory. Not kind. Just old. Passengers whispered that she was cursed. Others said she was dangerous, that systems glitched when she boarded, that turbulence followed her ships. A few claimed she was responsible for the unexplained disappearances along fringe routes. No one had proof. No one wanted it. So seat 47 stayed empty. Until a human engineer named Jonah Reed quietly sat beside her. Jonah boarded the Celestial Drift with a tool bag slung over his shoulder and exhaustion etched into every line of his face. He was 34, had grease under his fingernails that never quite washed out, and eyes permanently shadowed by long shifts and longer responsibilities. He wasn't supposed to be on this ship. A malfunctioning quantum stabilizer in the drift's core had forced the company to reroute him mid-contract. Emergency repair. Good pay. Short notice. Jonah didn't mind. Ships were simpler than people. He stepped into the observation deck looking for a place to sit while the pre-jump checks ran. Most seats were taken. Some passengers glanced at him, then away, already cocooned in their own concerns. That's when he noticed the empty space. Seat 47. He followed the line of avoided chairs to its source and saw her. She sat perfectly still, hands folded in her lap, gaze fixed on the stars beyond the viewport. The faint light beneath her skin pulsed slowly, like a distant nebula breathing. Jonah felt it then, a pressure behind his eyes, a subtle instinct screaming don't. He ignored it. Not out of bravery. Out of habit. He walked over, nodded politely, and sat down. The effect was immediate. Conversations stuttered and died. A nearby child gasped before being pulled close by a parent. Several passengers stared openly, eyes wide with disbelief. The woman turned her head. Her gaze met Jonah's. For a long moment neither spoke. Then she smiled. It was small. Almost disbelieving. "Are you certain," she asked softly, her voice resonant and strange, "that this seat is acceptable to you?" Jonah shrugged, adjusting his bag at his feet. "Best view on the deck. Would be a shame to waste it." Her eyes searched his face as if scanning for mockery or fear. She found neither. "You do not know who I am," she said. Jonah leaned back, arms crossed. "I don't know who most people are. Usually works out." A faint sound escaped her, halfway between a breath and a laugh. Her name was Ilythra. She offered it without title, without preamble, like a gift she didn't expect to be accepted. Jonah told her his. They sat in silence as the ship powered up for its jump, the stars stretching into luminous threads beyond the viewport. Jonah felt the familiar lurch in his stomach as space-time folded. Ilythra did not move. "You are not afraid," she observed. "Of space travel?" Jonah said. "Did it enough times. Fear wears off." "Not of travel," she said gently. "Of me." He glanced at her. "Should I be?" The glow beneath her skin dimmed slightly. "Yes." That earned a raised eyebrow. "Well, guess I missed that memo." She studied him again, more intently this time. "They avoid me because those who remain close too long tend to suffer." Jonah frowned. "Suffer how?" "Loss," she said. "Displacement. Sometimes death." "Well," Jonah replied after a moment, That's just called being alive. Her expression shifted, confusion then something fragile. You are unusual, she said. So I've been told. Word spread quickly. Crew members whispered in maintenance corridors. Security officers watched the observation deck feeds more closely than necessary. The presence of a human sitting beside her unsettled the careful equilibrium of avoidance everyone had maintained. Jonah, for his part, went about his work. The quantum stabilizer was worse than expected. Microfractures along the containment field, harmonics drifting out of sync. Jonah spent long hours in the engine section, tools humming, mind focused. And always, when he returned to the observation deck to rest, Ilythra was there. Waiting. They spoke of small things at first. Jonah told her about Earth, oceans he barely remembered, cities that never slept. She spoke of stars that no longer existed, civilizations erased by time. You speak of extinction as if it is weather, Jonah remarked once. To me, she replied, it often is. On the fourth day, turbulence struck without warning. The celestial drift shuddered violently, alarms blaring as artificial gravity faltered. Passengers screamed. Jonah was thrown from his feet, slamming into a bulkhead. Before he could recover, the lights dimmed to emergency red. Jonah staggered upright, heart pounding. That wasn't normal. No, Ilythra said quietly. Her skin glowed brighter now, patterns rippling beneath the surface. What's happening? Jonah demanded. She hesitated. Then, something has noticed me. The truth came out in fragments. Ilythra was not merely a passenger. She was a convergence being. A rare entity whose existence bent probability, drawing significant events toward her like gravity. Disasters. Turning points. She did not cause them intentionally. But where she went, the universe paid attention. Long ago, civilizations had worshipped her kind as harbingers or gods. Later they hunted them. Now they avoided them, hoping distance would dilute the effect. Those who remain close, she said softly, become entangled in my wake. Jonah rubbed his face. So the turbulence. A manifestation, she said. The ship has crossed into a region of unstable space-time. Normally survivable. With me aboard, she trailed off. Say it. It may not be. Jonah exhaled slowly. All right. Let's fix it. She blinked. You cannot repair space-time with tools. No, Jonah agreed. But I can keep the ship together long enough to get us through. He turned and started toward the engine section. He followed. The hours that followed blurred into controlled chaos. Jonah worked the stabilizer beyond safe limits, rerouting power, reinforcing failing fields. Sweat soaked his clothes. His hands shook from strain. The ship groaned as reality itself pressed against its hull. Through it all, Ilythra remained close, her presence amplifying the danger, and somehow the chance. What are you doing? She asked as he adjusted the final alignment. Balancing the harmonics, Jonah said through gritted teeth. If I can match the frequency of the instability, the jump field might ride it instead of fighting it. That is reckless. Jonah laughed breathlessly. Engineering usually is. The stabilizer screamed, then settled into a dangerous, delicate equilibrium. For one suspended moment, the universe seemed to hold its breath. Then the ship emerged. Normal space snapped back into place. Stars resolved. Gravity stabilized. Silence fell. Jonah slumped against the console, exhausted. The celestial drift had survived. Afterward, the tone aboard the ship changed. Passengers looked at Ilythra differently now, not just with fear but with awe. Some whispered that she had saved them. Others still avoided her, crossing corridors to keep their distance. Jonah sat beside her in seat 47, a bandage wrapped around his hand. You should not have done that, she said quietly. Saved everyone? Jonah replied. Kind of my job. You tethered yourself to my wake, she said. Your life will no longer be simple. He smiled tiredly. It never was. She looked at him then, not as a phenomenon, not as an anomaly, but as a man. Why did you sit beside me? She asked. At the beginning. Jonah considered. Everyone looked afraid. And you looked lonely. Her glow softened, colors shifting into something warm and unfamiliar. I have crossed galaxies, she said, voice barely above a whisper. I have never been chosen out of kindness. Jonah leaned back, gazing at the stars. Guess there's a first time for everything. When the celestial drift reached its destination, Ilythra prepared to disembark alone as she always had. Jonah walked with her to the exit ramp. You could stay away from me now, she said. You know the cost. He nodded. Yeah. Then he picked up his tool bag and stepped forward. Where are you headed? He asked. She hesitated, then smiled. Wide this time, luminous and real. Wherever the universe pulls me next. Jonah shrugged. Good. I'm between contracts. As they walked down the ramp together, passengers watched in stunned silence. Seat 47 would no longer be empty. And somewhere in the vast, unpredictable sprawl of the stars, the universe shifted. Not because of fear, not because of power, but because one human engineer chose to sit beside someone everyone else avoided.